my coach, my freshman year, not choosing me, not being confident in my abilities, that will always feel me. Like, I always go back to that. I'm like, you didn't believe in me, but that's okay because I believe in me.
Welcome to the Winners Club podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Wilson, and today I'm here with D1 basketball player Quincy Noble. Quincy, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Bryce.
Before we get into what it's like being a D1 athlete, I'd like to learn about your journey to become a D1 athlete. So let's start from the beginning. Who was Quincy Noble as an athlete growing up?
Growing up, I did not play basketball at all. I was raised around it, but I played tennis and I did competition dance for 7 to 8 years. And when I moved to Texas is when I decided to pick up all sports. Like, you know, in Texas, like you're able, like in middle school, go out for everything.
Yeah.
That's not in California. In California, like where I'm originally from, like it costs extra to like pay for like to play sports in middle school, but it also like it's not like we don't have middle school sports. If you know what I'm saying, like extracurriculars, you have to like pay for. So like being able to come to Texas and be able to just do that, like as like I was like, oh cool, I'm gonna go out for everything. I went out for volleyball, track. What else did I do? I did the tennis team, basketball, of course. And I think just because my dad, he played at the next level and he coached it for 25 years, like with, on the boys' side when we were in California, I think I was just like, okay, like this is what he can get us better and we can bond on this, and there's something that connected us together. So I think that's really why I chose basketball.
When did you move over here, and when did you start focusing specifically on basketball?
Yeah, sixth grade. I literally just graduated sixth grade from in California. In California, that's elementary school. So I went from here and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm in middle school. It's cool. So I think I just made that leap into playing basketball. I think I would just say seventh grade year, but like where it got serious for me, I want to say high school.
In high school, you had some accolades. I have to read them off real quick. You were a two-time district champion, 28th. You ranked 28th in your class by ESPN, and senior year, you were offensive player of the year. So what do you think led to all those accolades?
Honestly, I just think dedication and hard work. I think having my dad as like my nutritionist, my coach, my everything, like he was everything for me all in one. So just having easy access to that just really helped us develop. We worked out every day. I didn't stop playing in tournaments. Like he always kept me involved in the game so I could catch up to everybody, because a lot of people I play against, they started when they were like 3 or 4. But for me, like I started in 7th grade. So I had some catching up to do. So he made sure that I was constantly in the gym, constantly working on my game, constantly in tournaments, because the best way you really can get better at a game is obviously working on your craft, but you have to play against people. You have to learn the game. You can't just, watch it and practice it. You have to play it so you can know how to make reads and just challenge yourself mentally and physically.
So you started like in 6th grade, and by senior year you were the star, but some people might say it's talent, but from what I'm hearing, like you worked hard on it. So what do you think? How much hours were you putting in? Like what type of dedication were you putting in?
Oh no, like in middle school I was a post. So like all I knew how to do was rebound. Like my 7th grade year, I focused on just rebounding. You couldn't get me to dribble. Like I remember I would never get over this one scenario, and I was like, I rebounded the ball and I'm looking for the outlet and all my guards are gone and my coach is yelling, dribble. And I'm looking at her like, girl, I'm not finna dribble. Like,
You scared of it?
Yes. I was like, we don't do that. Like I literally just started playing. So I was just getting rebounds. So I kicked it waiting for her. But then like 8th grade year, like that, or 7th grade summer, I was working on it. So I come back 8th grade year, I'm dribbling the ball up the court. I'm trying to do more things. I'm driving. I've developed myself each time. I think just spending over the summer of working with my dad, playing in tournaments. Like I said, like we spent hours in the gym. Like I would go from school practice back to the gym with my dad and then go home and do homework. Like that was a continuous schedule from 7th grade throughout high school. Like I would go from high school practice to going to the athletic club with my dad, lifetime. We would just be in there grinding, working it out. I started inviting old teammates, and he started up a team for me.
That's good, cool.
So we put
in
some work. Yeah.
Okay. So you definitely say that you have to do more than just the team practice. You have to do extra.
Yes. No, it's very important to whatever you work on with your team is awesome. Like that's good. Like that's good to build team chemistry, but you also have to work on yourself outside of it so you can perform with your team, you know?
Yeah. I assume you were highly recruited out of high school, but so a lot of people just see the Instagram and see the offers and think it's all great. But what were the realities of like the recruiting process? Was it stressful? Like how was that?
No, recruiting process, like your junior year when you're able to start talking to coaches, like that's when it really gets serious. Like where you really like, I wouldn't say like take the fun out of it, but the fun kind of comes out of basketball because you're just so focused on getting that scholarship, so focused on going to the next level, how you can impress these coaches, and now you get to talk to them. They're coming to your house. Like it's like it's a whole different ball game. Like now they're watching for specific things. Like I just feel like it changes like the whole aspect. It gets really stressful. And then even if so, they can be interested in you and then they can leave you alone. Like they could be so on you and then out of nowhere they're ghosting you. Like it's a crazy cycle. Like it's stressful, I wouldn't lie.
So that senior year, you kind of realized how it's a business. Like, is that kind of where it clicked?
Yes, understanding that like the sport is a business, but you got to find your joy within it. But it's definitely a business. Like once you get to that aspect, like you kind of don't get like your feelings hurt or anything because it's not personal. Like they don't be like, oh, I don't like her anymore. They just like, maybe you're just not useful for our team. Like in aspects of playing, not your personality.
And then from there, you committed to University of New Mexico.
New Mexico, yeah.
University of New Mexico. So how was that first season?
I think everybody kind of knows like that transition for me was kind of hard. I think anybody has a hard transition from high school to college. And I think just like for me, especially like being so family oriented and where my dad and it really made me reflect on the times that we would spend the gym, how much we did spend the gym together and how much he really like influenced me to want to get in the gym. So I think my freshman year showed me that I got to get it by myself. Like obviously your parents can do so much for you, but I think going through that my freshman year taught me that I have to learn how to get it myself. I have to work on my own. I have to find my own passion for it. And I think what I experienced, like not playing and not be able to just go in, just, because obviously like I've always been like one of the better players. So like in college, everybody's good. You got to find what you're best at and get it better. Like everybody's good. So I think going there challenged me. It challenged me to be a better defender. It challenged me to be a better shooter. It challenged me to do a lot of things that I honestly didn't know that I didn't already have. Like, I think it was like a big eye-opening moment. So when I transferred here, I was ready. I was hungry. I got a redshirt year. I got to sit out. So I got to learn the offense. I got to find my love for it. I was in the gym constantly when I got here. Like I changed my whole mindset. So I think that was kind of like the big turnaround for me from my high school, like from my senior year to my freshman year to my freshman year to my transfer year.
And we'll get into the second year, but the first year, so you would say you struggled on the court, but you would say at the end of it, it was beneficial. Like
I definitely struggled mentally too. I think as athletes, like you're so used to being so good. So when you get to something very challenging, you don't really know how to go about it. Like when you're not playing, you don't know how to mentally get yourself right. Like I struggled academically after that because I was just so upset with how I was producing on the court. It affected me mentally more than it affected my academics. And I just knew like I needed to get out of there and maybe get back home, find my roots again, find my love again, find my joy. Like I lost it all. Being out there, being isolated from my family, I didn't really get to see them. They were like 8-hour drive away. The flight wasn't bad. Like it wasn't too bad of a flight, but 8 to 9 hours, like that's not something you could just make easily when you just want to drive home like I can now, like 45 minutes or, I could easily get home now.
How'd you get through that mentally off the court? Was it just calling family or was it you kind of learning to deal with it on your own?
I didn't really realize that I was struggling until really like towards the end where I'm like, oh, I have to leave. Like I really didn't understand it because I was just kind of like just going through the motions. I didn't see myself. Like I really didn't understand like what was happening to me until like I really like sat down and reflected and was like, I have to go, like this is not me. I'm sad. I'm in my room and I'm in my room all by myself, just sitting there isolated, watching TV all day or just not taking care of myself at all.
When did it click that you realized you had to leave? Like, was it during that season or was it towards the end?
It was during the season, but really towards the end where I was just like, yeah, I need to go. And then like when I actually told my coach and I told him I'm going in the portal, I felt instant relief. That's kind of how I knew that it was it was a right decision because I was like, ooh, like I feel like better. Like I don't feel intense. I tensed up because your freshman year is different depending on where you go. Like college coaches, like they love you while they recruiting you, but you gonna see the real when you get there. You don't really. You get to see it. You get to see how they talk to their players. You get to see how they treat their players. You get to see a whole lot of things that you did not see. So I think even going into my transfer time, I knew what I was looking for. Your freshman year, you're looking for what's fun. What's the better fit for me? Ooh, like what's a good team? I want to be on a big team, a power team, like. But your transfer year, oh no, I want to be part of a family. I want somebody that builds up their team, that builds up their players when their confidence is low. I struggled with confidence. Like that was that struggle. I lost it all when I was out there. So I feel like that's big for athletes is to keep your confidence, remain who you are, do not lose yourself. Like that is the hardest thing to do. But like that is the key, not losing yourself.
Yeah. I like that. And then I also like what you said about when you transferred, you felt that relief. I always think that when you quitting isn't bad. It's when you feel the regret, that's when you probably shouldn't have quit. But if you quit and you feel that relief, that means that you're going to do better things. And so whenever you went to UNT, how was that redshirt year? Like you weren't able to play the whole year. I assume like you probably played, 5-10 years straight before that. So what was it like not playing that year?
It felt like I hadn't played in like 2 years because like my freshman year I didn't play. So like sitting out, like that was so difficult for me. But I had to, like I said, changing my mindset to like, I'm going to go hard on them every day in practice. This is time for me to work on my craft. Like I didn't understand how beneficial it was for me until I got back on the court. But it's hard practicing every day and not being able to travel, practicing every day and not being able to play. Like I'm just here. I'm just a practice player. Like am I on the team? Like half the time people don't even know if I'm on a team or not. Like it was hard. Like it's definitely not an easy thing. But I feel like it's so beneficial for some people. Like for some players, they just need it. You're able to do whatever you want to do, work on your craft, be the player you want to be, and that builds your confidence back. That's and I feel like that's where I built my confidence back. Being in the gym, being able to work on everything I was in the gym, on the court while we're playing live. Like it was a big year for me. My redshirt year was hard, but it was a really beneficial year for me.
And after that year, you bounced back and had some more accolades. So I have to read off the accolades again. The first year back, you had the 7th highest single season scoring record. You had the highest free throw percentage, and you started all the games. So was it kind of that first year led to that, or what do you think kind of led to your going on fire that second year?
I think it definitely was my redshirt year, along with like the great coaching staff that I had that was also so confident in me and my abilities. Like I feed off of that. I'm that type of player that I feed off my coaches. I feed off of how confident my teammate feels in me, and then how confident I feel in myself. Like I love my teammates. I love my coaches. So like feeling that back is like fuel to me. I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna go get it. Like they believe in me, I can get it for real. Like I'm not gonna stop. So I feel like just having like that clear mindset of like, I'm just gonna go out and have fun. And then when I started having fun, all that started happening. I didn't even know that was gonna happen. Like I was just like, oh shoot, I 6 threes? What? Like I didn't even know I could do that. Like
going into that season, were you like, I'm going to kill this season, or was it just I'm just gonna have fun, I'm gonna enjoy myself? I'm going like what
it was literally I'm gonna have fun and I'm going to enjoy myself. I did not expect all that happened. Like I was just like, what? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go again. Like it just made me even more hungry. But no, it definitely was just going out to have fun. Like I could remember telling my one of my coaches, she's no longer here, but I told her, I was just like, oh, I'm gonna have fun this season. Like I was just so excited to be back on the court. Like I'm playing, oh shoot, I'm starting. Like it was just felt so fun to be out there. So I was just like, oh shoot. And then I just started playing. I have no clue like how it even, what it was, but I guess like I think everybody always says like the work shows. So I feel like that's really what it was. The work was showing.
So you think it was kind of a combination between the work behind the scenes and then just enjoying it and not having any stress while you're on the court?
Yes, I think absolutely that's what it was.
Okay. Next season, you had more accolades, the highest minutes and highest scoring on the team. But I want to know, were there any difficulties during this time? Like on paper, you're killing it for 2 years straight, but were there any difficulties behind the scenes?
Yeah, no, definitely like after that first year where I had all those accolades, the second year, obviously, like I didn't score as much as I did the first year. So like in my head, like I was just like comparing myself. I kept comparing myself to my first year in comparison. Like I feel like as athletes, when we go on longer throughout college, like you start comparing yourself to your better years and then like that starts hurting your next years. It's a mental game, like for everything. And I feel like that's the biggest part of sports. Like you can, like I work out a lot, but for me, I struggle mentally because I'm a perfectionist. I want everything to be a certain way. I need to look a certain way. I want to feel a certain way. And if I feel like, oh, my shot's off, I missed 2 shots in a row, that means I'm doing terrible. No, it doesn't. Like, it's just like how you feed yourself. So I feel like my second year, I had a harder, like last year, I had a harder time like feeding myself the right thoughts because I wanted to be that same player I was the year before, but you're not going to be the same player. You're not the same. You're growing in different ways. And I feel like I grew defensively last year. I was better. I wasn't a defensive liability because my first year, boy, defensive liability, I could score, but defense was god awful. I needed help every 5 minutes. I was like, good Lord. But the next year I was a better defender. I was able to play on ball more. I was able to work on my pull-ups more. Like it was little things that I didn't even realize that I was doing because I was so focused on the wrong things. So I think mentally, it's always a challenge for me.
How were you able to kind of get over it for this season? How do you talk to yourself now? And like, how do you mentally get over that?
I think like talking to my coaches. I have a therapist. I make sure I like have a sports therapist so I could talk to her. I write my goals down before every game so I can visualize and see it. Like, so I know specifically what I want to work on. And I pray. I make sure I have like a worship time. Like I make sure like I'm really in a good headspace. And I recently just stopped talking to my family. Like on game days, like I stopped talking to people. Like I don't want to hear from anybody. I don't want to do that because not that it could just unintentionally add extra pressures that I've noticed. But I think like just taking that time for yourself and whatever you believe in, stick with it. Like, don't let anybody else change how you're feeling. Like, you need to make sure you're sticking with whatever you feel that day on game day. And I feel like that's something that I've noticed that's very important to me is having those times to myself so I can get ready mentally, not let anybody else get me ready.
Yeah. And I like that where you kind of, your course family is helpful, but you don't need them to, you don't rely on them to give you some encouragement for the game. You already have that internally. This last year, you're a senior and you're a leadership role on the team. So how do you lead on the team?
I think I'm working on that myself. I'm not used to being like the oldest on the team or anything. I think that's something that I'm still working on, but just communicating with my team, understanding like we're young, but we're excited to play with each other, we're excited to be out there. So I think it's just finding the right niche, continue to give each other more game reps because we're just so young. The team that we have, majority of them didn't even play last year. The other ones are new. Like this is a really new team. Like we have so much more to give and I'm just very excited. I think taking time, getting to know each other, trusting each other, building those chemistries, you know, getting to learn each other's game. I think that last game showed that. If I don't know if anybody watched the Wichita State game, I think that was a really good game for him compared to SFA where we were all out of whack. It really showed how young we were, but then we grew from that. So I think every game is going to be a growing game for us. So I'm just excited. I think just growth, communication, getting to know each other, time. Honestly, I think we'll be a whole different team when it comes to March.
Last year, were you kind of already a leader on that team, or was this year your first time where you're like, I'm going to be the leader on the team, or what are you thinking about that?
I think I was leader in different aspects. I think I was more of like a scoring leader than, you know, having to be the senior that stepped up and had those hard conversations or getting my teammates in line or like little stuff like that. Cause I had a Maddie Townley, I don't know if we know Maddie Townley, but that was our big time leader for a while. And that was somebody I looked up to. So it was kind of like, I think in that role, that was her. So like I had to become kind of like that next step, being that person that my teammates can come to and help them and coach them along. Like that's a whole new role for me this year. So I feel like that's big.
It's a learning experience this year.
It's a learning experience for me for sure.
Okay, now we can get into like your mindset as an athlete. There might be some things that you do without thinking about, but do you have any mental techniques or tactics that you do? You talked about goal setting, visualization. Are there any other things you do?
I definitely meditate because I am one that I have anxiety. So I definitely suffer from that. So like I definitely work on just giving me those times where I feel like I'm about to explode. Like I'll step away and I'll go talk to my trainer and we'll sit down and literally in a corner and make sure I'm breathing because I can make myself have a panic attack because I'm overthinking in my head. So I would just say just taking those times to really recognize yourself and how you're feeling because how you're feeling is valid, but how do you control it? That's also up to you. Like for me, I meditate, I have a stress ball, I breathe, like I have to. But from some other people, maybe they need to take it out on the court. Like whatever you're feeling, take it out on the field or whatever. For football, like go hit somebody. If that's how you feel, go take them out. Like, you know, but for me, I think it's just really understanding yourself. So sitting, like when you get to those moments, self-reflect, understand why you're feeling that way and focus on it and figure out a way where you can breathe or figure out a way where you can find yourself again. Like it's not easy. It's really not. I struggled with that the year before, like last year with my anxiety. I had a couple panic attacks during games. So I had to like stop and sit down and really like reflect this over the summer and figure out ways that I can stop that. And I haven't had one yet. So I feel very good. So I think like taking time to myself and understanding like you're not perfect. And that's my problem. Like I want to not mess up in any aspect. So I think understanding that you're not perfect and it's okay to make mistakes. It's just all about how you're going to hustle back and get it again.
And did it stem from, you know, maybe making too many mistakes because you're perfectionist or stressed? And then when those things happen in games, like how do you immediately kind of calm yourself down?
I'm still working on it. Like it's not too easy for me, but I just know that just telling myself that like, it's okay, go get it in a different way. Like you missed that shot, that's fine. You're going to make the next one. Like I'm just talking to myself in the best way, but it's something I'm still struggling with. So it's kind of like hard to like, you know, give my advice on it because it's just like I'm still struggling myself. I'm still trying to figure myself out. But I would just say positive self-talk and just taking your time. If you need to step away and breathe. Communicate. Like if you're hurting, like if you're not feeling away, communicate it. I have to communicate to like my coaches or like my teammates when I'm just feeling like, I'm like, gosh, like why am I doing this? And they come up to me, you're good, like you're good. And I'm like, I'm still in my head. I'm still figuring it out. So I would think just like self-reflecting and understanding yourself and figuring out for you what's the best way. For me, like my coaches, they know like when I come off, sometimes I could be so angry. I ask them like, oh, can I get like 5 minutes to myself? And then come to me, and I promise you I'm going to be very coachable.
Right.
But like right off, I'm already angry at myself. Like, what are you doing? Like I'm mentally not there. So like whatever you need, make sure you're communicating it with your coaches and your teammates.
It sounds like you've improved from last year, 2 years ago. So at least you're able to show your journey, and that's important. But yeah, how do you deal with, we'll say, controlling your emotions on the court? You know, have you ever got technical and got kicked out, or how do you deal with controlling your emotions on the court?
I've definitely got a technical.
Okay.
I got 2 last year, I think. One in each different game. I'm the type, I like to call out my and ones. I like to really get into it. So I would say like with just stuff like that, you just got to know like your crowds, because not everybody's going to call it. It just depends on how the refs are feeling.
Right.
But, you know, in women's sports, we can't say anything. We can't do anything. We can't say anything.
Okay.
But for me, I'm still going to do it. So I'm still going to do it. It makes me feel good. It makes my teammates feel good. I got their back.
Yeah,
so
sometimes, you know, staying true to yourself and inspiring them, encouraging them. So that's part of it. Or dealing with failure. Like how do you deal with failure from either just not making the shots or just in the game?
I think that's another thing that I've struggled with, because I think it's just like, I would just say stay the course, stay with what you're doing. Like it's gonna show at the end. I have to like continue to tell myself like it'll show. I'll go back to the SFA game. I couldn't make a shot to save my life, but then this Wichita State game, I'm making everything.
Right.
I'm feeling good. I think it's just you got to change your focus. If you're focused on what you're not doing correctly, it's only gonna go downhill. If you just try to change it to, okay, what else can I do next? It makes it a little easier, and you get back to being yourself. Because I know yesterday's game wasn't perfect, but I know like I wasn't focused on all the negative things that I was doing. I was trying to figure out another way to get myself going, get my teammates going, how I could help defensively, get my assignment, make sure my player's not scoring. Like I was trying to focus on the right things, stay on scouting report. So I would just say, stay focused on what's important. Like obviously like making shots or making the best play is important, but like there's other things to make you feel great on the court that'll get you going again.
So dealing with those highs and lows from maybe not scoring one game to having a great game the next game, is it, you said just focusing on what you do well, or how would you get through those ups and downs?
I would just say focus on the assignment. So whatever your assignment is for that game, like if your person's not supposed to touch the ball, make sure they don't touch the ball. I guarantee you're gonna start feeling yourself again. You're gonna be like, oh, I got my confidence back because I did this on the other end. Now I'm ready on the offensive end, where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna knock it down because I just got that steal. So it's just like finding different ways to fuel your confidence, because it may not start on that end. For me, like I was just like, dang, am I just off completely? No, I go back and watch film. I was doing so much other good things. I didn't even notice because I'm too busy focused on the 3 I missed. Like, that's not important. Like, you just got back, you got 2 steals. Like, it's just like figuring out understanding your assignment and staying with it. Like, I think I figured that out the last game. When I saved my assignment, I was a better teammate. I was a better player. I was a better, I was more coachable. It was so much easier, like, not being in my own head. So just taking a break from your own thoughts, I would say.
That's a good perspective to have. And then, I think on every team you've been on, you've had one of the best free throws on the team. So what could you say to apply to other sports on how you focus and concentrate on performing your best in free throws? Like how do you block out the noise, all that?
I don't even know. I think honestly the noise fuels me. I like when people talk mess. I like that type of stuff. Just because it's like, you think I'm gonna miss it? No, I'm not. Like, you know, it's just like, and then just like confidence from my teammate. Like staying focused on the free throw line is, know there's going to be noise. Let the noise fuel you. I say, let it fuel you.
Okay.
Don't be scared of it. They want you to be scared of it. Right. I say, let it fuel you, because I think you'll do better that way than trying to like ignore it, because you're going to always hear it. There's no way you're not going to hear it. You just got a tunnel vision on what you're supposed to do. Make that free throw, but let them talk. They don't talk anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Would you also say you have to start with the work behind the scenes, and once you've done all the work, then in the game you just kind of focus on instinct and just let focus on what you need to do? Yes,
I say definitely continue to work. Work is always going to be it, because if you're not practicing your free throws, you're not going to make them in a game when you're exhausted. You're going to make them when you're not tired.
Right.
But when you're exhausted and we're going into overtime, or it's the fourth quarter, you're not going to hit those the same way, because you haven't practiced tired. You haven't put in the work to make 150 free throws before you left, or whatever it may be. Like, definitely work on your craft. It's important, but also take care of your body, because that's also important. Like, injuries are no joke. You mentally, physically, everything. It's not a joke. Like, you definitely have to take care of yourself. Maybe you just need a day for a mental break. Like, it's very important. Give that to yourself. Like, you could work. Like, I have a problem. I'll work, and not give myself a mental break, a physical break, and then I'm trying to figure out why my body's tired for game day.
Yeah.
Did you take care of it? No, you're too busy mad because you missed a shot. Now you want to stay back and shoot 300 more shots. Like, no, go home, breathe, watch it, figure out what the problem really was, because it wasn't your shot. It was how you were feeding yourself mentally, or your legs were tired. Like, just understanding your body and understanding your mind.
Okay. And yeah, I would say, like, how do you stay disciplined? It sounds like you kind of always been that way. Is there a certain thing that keeps you disciplined?
I don't think, no, I definitely wasn't always a discipline. I think my dad always was the one that kind of pushed me. So I would say, like, find what makes you hungry. I think me just sitting, like, my coach, my freshman year, not choosing me, not being confident in my abilities, that will always fuel me. Like, I always go back to that. I'm like, you didn't believe in me. Like, but that's okay, because I believe in me. And I would never let anybody make me feel like I'm not worth it, or I'm not going to shine, or whatever it is. Like, I'm not going to let you take away how I feel about myself. Like, I always say that shine your light. Like, your light is so bright. Like, I always tell my teammates that your light is so bright. Don't let anybody dim your light. Like, that's my thing. Like, protect your energy and don't let anybody dim your light, because that's you. Can't nobody change you.
It's all you. I like that. And then pressure. How do you deal with pressure? Have you ever taken a game-winning shot? Have you ever had some big games? Or how do you deal with that pressure?
I would say, like, conference tournament last year, I think when we were playing in the semis, making those big plays. I think in basketball, like, there obviously are big shots, but there's big plays. And then, like, when you're in the fourth quarter and you're down 2, and we have a minute left, those are where it comes to crunch times, where the possessions matter. So I think, like, for me, like, pressures of taking care of the ball and making sure, like, I'm making the right read. Even yesterday, like, I feel like there was crucial times where I didn't even make the right read. I was like, oh, like, you just get so sped up. Don't speed up. Breathe. Take your time. I'm still learning it. Like, take my time and really read what's going on the court, and take what they give you. I think basketball is all about reading and taking what you give you. So I would just say, like, just make sure you try to slow your mind down in those pressured moments. Not slow your body down or slow while you're out there. Just slow your thoughts down. Like, you got this. You worked on it, so you're gonna knock the shot down. So I would just say, like, just slow yourself down.
So in those game-winning situations, you don't think about the crowd, you don't think about the pressure. You just kind of slow down and realize that you've already taken the shot before, you've done the work. Is that kind of what helps you?
Yeah, that's what kind of helps me. I think that I'm gonna definitely try for myself, figure out what works for me. Because, hey, when we get down to those seconds, I'll be like, oh, we gotta go. No, we don't. Slow down.
You talked about how your dad instilled in you the work ethic. So how does your community play a role in how you perform, your family, your parents, all that?
We're a family-oriented family. Like, I was raised around my cousins and my grandparents, going in their house after school and working on schoolwork, and then going outside to play, like, and going on big family trips, vacations. We travel the world together. Like, I'm a big family girl. Like, that's what I care about, and those are my people. Those are my why. So I feel like that's what I want that with my team. Like, I think my team, we're a big family. We fight, we argue, we cry. We're mad at each other. It's a big family. Like, that's big to me. Feeling that connection and feeling connected to people. I feel like that's what's really important to me.
And that's always, like, that's what holds you down. And would you always say a phone call, or there's physical support? Is that always what helps you keep going forward? Yeah,
my dad writes me cards before the game. Let me know. Like, he'll let me know, hey, you're a star. Like, be the best player you can be. Like, go out there and just play. You got this. Like, you put in the work. Like, my coach will come up to me like, you got this. We be in the gym. You got this. Like, just having, like, those extra people around me that believe in me, it feels just so good. Like, it's just makes you feel warm inside, makes you really feel really good. It makes you want to perform to my best.
I did want to ask about, you're doing your master's, right?
Yes.
Congrats. So how do you balance school and college life and sports all in one?
I think understanding that one day the ball will stop. Like, you're not going to be able to play the sport every day. So I feel like that fuels me to understand, like, you're going to need to, and you're getting your stuff paid for free. Like, you're on scholarship. Like, you have somebody paying for your school. Get it done. Like, whenever the ball starts dribbling, what you going to do? Like, I started telling myself, you got to have a plan B. And my plan B is always going to be my academics for sure. Like, that I'm always going to have that to fall back on, because I was able to balance too. So I would say, like, balancing it would just be time management and really planning out your day. Also, I would just say having connection with your professors, or communicating with your professors. Like, it's very important, especially as athletes, because we're in and out of classes during season, or some days we might just be mentally tired. If you have that connection, they'll be like, you know what, that's fine. Like, that's cool. Just turn this assignment in. I've had some pretty cool professors.
That's
So
good.
I just say your motivation needs to be just taking care of your business. Like, understand, like, you're here for 2 reasons, not just to play your sport.
Right. And you talked about the importance of rest days. So when you're done with your school and you're done with your sports, what do you do outside of all that to really relax and rest?
And sometimes I just do something good for myself. Maybe I'll go to Target and buy me some leggings or something.
Yeah.
Do something good for myself, or get my nails done. Just self-care. I think it's very important. Read a book, journal. I've taken up journaling a lot more. I think that's good. Going on walks with my dog every morning, like, and listening to my podcast. Like, I figure out ways to just give myself that time to step away from basketball, because I spend so much with it. Like, you got to have something else, friends, like just hanging out with friends outside of my sport, making sure like I'm interacting with other people. Like, you got to get away sometimes.
Yeah. So it's just the small things, like you said, just going on walks or journaling, or can you tell us about journaling? Like, how often do you do it, and how does that help you?
I think I journal when I'm trying to journal more, but I journal more when I have a lot more thoughts. Like, if I'm just feeling down that day, I go write it. I go talk to my mom, and then I go write it down. Or I go talk to my therapist, and I go write down how I'm truly feeling. So that I understand, like, it's okay, but let's just get it out of your head. Recently, I've been doing it twice a week, just so like I can get my basketball thoughts down, and then also just like my regular feelings towards like anything I'm going through, you know? Like, so I do it twice a week. I think it makes me feel pretty good after I go on like a walk with my dog. Like, it just gets all my thoughts, and I'm like, okay, let's write it down. It's definitely, I found it to be helpful.
No, it's a good practice. And we'll end with the final 5. These are the final 5 questions I like to ask all the athletes. So the first one is, what's one thing about being a D1 athlete that surprised you, or that other people might not expect about being a D1 athlete from the outside?
I would say like just like they think like the special treatment. I think.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm like, it's not too special
Yeah, right.
over here. It's really not.
I see. They think about the glamour and the
it's not
behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's really not that. Like, from like our professors and stuff. Like, no, because like there's always that stigma that athletes don't work hard. So I think like just understanding like there's no. I mean, at least for not the women's program, we're not getting that over here. We got to work just as hard and stay mentally prepared. Like you're already drained from practice, and then like you're having to go home or go to tutoring. Like, we have a full schedule, like a full day schedule, like from morning to dawn. Like, you have some that have classes all morning, and then we're going to practice, and they're going to tutoring. They have to get 6 hours of tutoring for the week. Balancing out your schedule, like, it's a lot. Like, it's just kind of hard to like categorize a lot, because a lot of people don't really. You just see like, oh, you have sports, so you like. Y'all are good. Like, no.
They see the game on the weekend, and then they think, oh, it's all good.
Yeah, y'all just practice and go home. Like,
no.
Like, I'm at the gym from 12 to 6. Like, and we're here.
Was that a shock? Like, I don't know if you put in a lot of work already in high school, but was that a shock, and having to have that, full day?
Yes. Like, my freshman year, I slept so much. Like, I went from class to practice to tutoring, and I went in my bed and slept all day. I would literally go home and take melatonin and go to sleep, because like my body is exhausted, but some reason my mind wasn't. So I need the melatonin, and I would go I would sleep all the time. Like, your freshman year is literally like a tester year. Like, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna go sleep. Like, after that, you'll be straight. You learn how to use your schedules.
Right. So was that an unhealthy sleep, or is it necessary at the time?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
All right. And then, what was your worst workout of your career? It could be from high school all the way up to now in college.
I feel like I have always like those mental days once a week where I'm just like, oh, I just do not want to be here. Like, I am so tired of being up here. Where is my space? But I would just say, like, mentally, I had a bad workout. Like, I would just like mentally just be like, I'm there, but I'm not focused. So I feel like that could be like one of my worst workouts. Or I just like, and then like, my people are talking to me, I'm just late. Like, I'm just like not here. Like, I don't know. I feel like those are kind of like some of my bad workouts, because I've had a couple. I don't think you just have like one or two. Like, I think I had like one, or like I've had a few. Yeah, but I log back in. But it's just like, we're still here. Like, it's,
sometimes you just have those days.
Yeah, you just have those days. I feel like you have those mental days where you're just like, I just want to lay in my bed all day.
And then, what was your best memory as an athlete? Again, it could be from high school or now your whole career.
So I got a couple. I think the friendships that I made, like, I have a friend that I had in New Mexico. Like, we're literally friends till now. Like, that's my sister. Like, I really cherish friendships. So I think that was like a really big memory for me. And I think semis was the most exciting thing, just because we haven't made it to semis. So I feel like that was and that game was so intense. We had a lot of students, we had a lot of fans, and they were like scream my name. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, is this real? Like, I've just never been in an atmosphere like this. So I feel like that was like really memorable and cool. Like, just to be a part of something where like women's basketball, like we have a bunch of fans in there and they're screaming. Like, I just feel like that was super memorable.
Were they trash talking you or were they supporting you?
No, they're supporting me. It was our fans. No, they were our fans. No. But yesterday we got booed at our Wichita State game. When we were coming out, they booed us. I was like, I've never been booed before. That was kind of cool too. Cool. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, sometimes it seems like you feel from that. You get
yeah.
Okay. And then what's one thing you tell high school athletes about being a college athlete?
Don't be scared to shine your light no matter how old you are. Like, when you come in, there's a reason why you're there. So don't let like upperclassmen, because some situations our upperclassmen are not welcoming. So don't let them affect how you come on the court and how you do. Like, make sure you're in there to get the extra done. Stay after, watch your film, because you're at a disadvantage coming in off rip. Stay in, watch your film, stay working hard. Stay true to yourself. Like, don't let anybody change yourself. Stay true to yourself. I think that's super important. And find your circle, find your friends, or your value your family, whatever it is. Like, find what's best for you, because like it's hard coming in. Like, you're new to it. You're used to high school where everybody kind of just like, I don't know, really. I feel like high school is such a blur.
Yeah,
but like, it's just like it just happens. But like in college, y'all kind of like obviously forced to be around each other all the time, but find your genuine friends. Take value in your mental health. That's super important coming in, because it's gonna be different. It's gonna be challenging. You're gonna be tired. So make sure you're taking care of yourself and keep working. Like, do not think because you were top number 1 recruit, whatever, or you're not number 25, whatever. It doesn't matter when you get to college, because we all were one of them numbers at one point. Yeah. So just understanding, like, stay true to who you are and perfect your craft and keep working hard. Stay confident. Love yourself. Love yourself. Do not let anybody like make you feel like you're not a wonderful person or whatever it is. Like, stay true to yourself.
That's great advice. You pack like 10 pieces of advice in one.
No, literally, because like all that
is... You need it.
You need all of it.
All right, and then last question. If you were to define the word winner, how would you define it in your own words?
I feel like you're a winner when you've accomplished every self-goal you want for yourself. Like, when you feel like you've been the best teammate, when you feel like you've been the best player of that game, where you really like worked your butt off. Like, you left everything out on the court. You're a winner. I feel like you won that day. Regardless of how the score went, like, I feel like you won that day. If you gave it your all, you did all your assignment, you were building your teammates up, like you checked off all your goals or whatever it is, I feel like you're a winner.